Hi, welcome to my channel. I will tell you story. Two rival undercover operatives are forced to cooperate in order to survive after failing to penetrate a Mexican drug cartel while being chased by both law enforcement and criminals. In the opening scene of the film, Michael Stigman and Robert, Bobby, Trench arrive at a diner in a one-horse town. A small savings and loan is located across the street. Trench buys a safe deposit box. Once Trench finished, he crosses the street to the diner. While Stigman talking to the phone, he orders food to the waitress. Trench inquires about their donuts, to which the waitress enthusiastically enthuses about their superiority. While Stigman dashes to the restroom, they order some to go. Moments later, he has triggered the fire alarm. Stigman tosses his lighter onto the short order grill, creating a quickly spreading grease fire. They step out just before the explosion rips through the window. 1 week earlier, the same pair is traveling to Mexico's Sonora region to see their friend El Toro at Papi Greco's ranch. El Toro was beheaded because it turned out he was skimming. Bobby receives an envelope containing cash in exchange for a batch of counterfeit passports. Bobby hands back the cash. Greco is instructed to keep the passports. Greco is agitated as a result of Toro betraying him. But now Greco owes Bobby a favor. Stigman is acting like a true wise-ass as he steps outside. Several chicken had been buried to their necks in the yard by Greco's goons. Even these simple targets are difficult to take out. After humorously teasing them, he pulls a gun and shoots them all one after the other. They were surprised and shocked. They are traveling back to the US when their automobile is halted at the border by numerous armed soldiers. Here, after being taken into separate questioning rooms, we find out that Bobby is actually a DEA agent who has been implanted. He was supposed to have the cocaine, which served as Papi Greco's evidence. Bobby's supervisor Jessup wants to remove him because he failed. Bobby makes up the story that he is about to flip the Toro with no head. Just a little more time is all he needs. In agreement, Jessup releases the duo. Later, we see Bobby and Deb having a post-coital discussion at a motel. Deb has a boyfriend, and Bobby avoids commitment and is emotionally distant. She queries Bobby about whether he ever truly loved her. He responds by saying that he meant to. Bobby informs Deb that Stigman intends to rob a bank where Greco has been hiding $3 million in drug money. He intends to catch him on tax evasion. Bobby hops over to Stigman's apartment to inform him that they will rob the bank. Stigman raises his gun to Bobby because he is skeptical of how fiercely the Border Patrol pursued them. Lol. It's simply a joke. To establish a schedule, they choose to observe Papi Greco at the home of his mistress. Bobby tells Deb, the police won't be there to respond to the bank robbery because the diner is shut down. Deb tells him that she will have resources ready to apprehend Stigman at precisely 3:05. Stigman hooks up with some sketchy folks of his own across town in the meantime. One moment, they're in the Navy. It turns out that Stigman was introduced to steal drug money for supporting secret naval operations. He takes some very advanced ordnance with him as he flees the site. They put on their masks the morning of the robbery and raid the police station, where they lock the miserable coppers in alongside their most recent imprisoned clients. The heist goes off flawlessly, but strangely, the $3 million turns out to be $43 million. Bobby keeps an eye on the time since he knows it will take longer to collect this much money. Bobby notes that the cavalry is nowhere to be seen as they start to load the getaway vehicle. They can easily flee because the town is empty. To examine the loot, Stigman and Bobby travel to the desert. Bobby was about to draw his gun, but Stigman gets the upper hand and draws his gun. Bobby has his DEA badge in hand but is unable to reach for his revolver. Bobby was supposed to be killed by Stigman, but he only grazes him. Stigman observes the badge as he approaches the injured Bobby. Holy sh**t. You're the DEA. He abandons Bobby in the desert with a bottle of water. As Earl makes his presence, a shadowy character who demands his money back. The poor bank manager discovers the hard way how important that money is to him. Stigman delivers the cash to Quince, his CO, staying at the real hotel. The fact that Bobby was a DEA agent didn't appear to surprise the officer, but the fact that Stigman didn't murder him. He sends a crew out into the desert to kill Bobby. Bobby, meantime, makes his way clumsily through the desert until he comes upon some phony border guards. He takes their dune buggy and quickly disarms them. He travels to a veterinarian to have his bullet wound treated. The team has arrived at the location where Bobby was supposed to be found. Quince orders the crew to kill Stigman because he is unsatisfied. In an exciting game of cat and mouse, Stig manages to escape because he anticipated the double cross. Meanwhile, Bobby followed Deb in the Camino Real hotel. He stops to see her even though he is aware that she's there to meet her boyfriend. Something isn't right, but he says he's going to his boss's residence to give him an update. Earl has located the doctor who treated Bobby's wound in the meantime. The vet acts dumb, but dune buggy outside has alerted them. He eventually admits that Bobby was there but is unable to tell them anymore. When Bobby arrives at Stig's flat, it is empty. Stig is on the roof of the building across the street, observing him with a military-grade rifle sight. Stig discovers that his gut feeling with Bobby was correct. Bobby, a good guy, assists him in eluding the hit team his CO has dispatched to execute him. They both get away. Meanwhile, Earl was the first to arrive in Jessup House. While he was questioning by Earl, Bobby shows up. He successfully prevails, but Jessup is wounded. A Russian roulette game is played on Bobby. Fortunately, he wins. Earl fires 3 more shots at Jessup, with Bobby's gun. Bobby is now responsible for his boss's death. Earl wants to get his money. Everybody escapes, only to meet up again the next day at Poppy's mistress' house. Greco is captured and a hilarious car chase across the desert follows, where people fight before they can come to an agreement. They take him to a garage for interrogation. We're discovered that Earl is a CIA. From a clandestine government operation, they have stolen $43 million. Deb owns the garage, so she was surprised to see them there. However, Stig notices movement out of the corner of his eye as Deb and Bobby converse in the kitchen. Someone is here. It's another team. Poppy manages to flee in the confusion. Deb, Stig, and Bobby get in a car and drive off quickly. Deb is being questioned by Bobby about how Stig's followers knew where to look for him, but just then, a big truck smashes them, and they are immediately surrounded by Poppy's team. Meanwhile, Poppy hangs them upside down in a barn on his ranch. Stig and Bobby admit that they will give the money to Poppy, and they already have it. The question is, don't you want $43 million? Suddenly, Poppy is called from the barn. Earl is here. Poppy intends to steal Earl's money since he finds Earl's attitude arrogant. Deb will die if the fellas don't return it to him within 24 hours. After they cross the border, they steal a car to get into base. Stigman knows the money is there, because Quinn told him during their meeting at the real hotel. They make a pit stop at an old Navy Friends store to pick up some extra gear before heading to the base. However, there is no plan for entering the base where Quinn is hiding the money. Stigman drops off Bobby at Quinn's office while leading the MPs on a wild goose chase. Stopping at the Admiral's offices, he tells his amazing story while Bobby confronts Quinn at the office. Bobby says, he is aware that Quinn is Deb's lover. He realizes Deb has the money because it is not on base. The time is running out. The Admiral respects Stigman's candor, but washes his hands of the messy affair. He won't let this shady situation damage the Navy's credibility. He dispatches a SWAT team to capture Quinn and orders Stigman to be removed from base. Quinn escapes, and Bobby makes up an explosion to conceal his exit. To save Deb, he takes an MP vehicle. She knows it's too late for her. She tells Greco that Bobby has no idea where the money is. Greco was also planning to kill them both anyway. Poppy calls Bobby and hands the phone to Deb. He attempts to persuade her to tell Greco he has the money as she apologizes to him. She had true feelings for him. Too late. Greco kills her while Bobby's still on the line. At the friend's store he meets Stigman at the friend's shop and he told what happened to Deb. Stig wants revenge but Bobby there's no more fight left in him. Bobby makes it home from Corpus after a long drive. There is where Deb's lifeless body has been left. Bobby is visibly shaken. He notices Deb ring. She's wearing it when they hooked up. A light bulb turns off. When he returns to the room, he finds the cash in the bed's baseboard. He calls Earl to set up a meeting. Stig is shown at Poppy's ranch. He says he drove the getaway car there and claims to have the money in the car trunk. He's one man versus a bloodthirsty drug ranch. Quinn is there with a strike team that uses an RPG to kill some of Poppy's troops. Quinn and Poppy are discussing how to divide the money when Earl arrives in a military helicopter. Where is the money? Bobby arrives in a candy apple red loaded with Earl's money. Bobby and Stig are free to go as they choose. Stig can't believe, and it's hard to imagine Bobby will let them get away with it. Bobby has a plan. Millions of dollars are launched into the air when he blows the car, giving him cover. The subsequent chaos results in the injury of Poppy. Bobby kills Quinn as Stig kills Earl, relying on Stigman's amazing aim. They give Poppy a little more lead as they leave the property. Housemaids scoop up sums of undamaged cash. Thank you for watching. Click the subscribe button and notification bell to watch more videos like this. Subscribe to AMLAC 75 Entertainment.